which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I just felt it's appropriate that I bring up one thing. Does everybody know who Pastor Mike Pistole is?
Only by these emails.
Homeless guy? Okay. I promised him I'd bring it up. That's all I promised him. They want to know if they were asking all 16 cities to include money in their budget for homelessness. I said Deltona's already taken a stand on the issue, but I'll bring it up. So, hearing nothing, we'll move right along.
I'd like to address that at the budget workshop Thursday night. I don't think
Okay.
tonight is the place to address it.
All right, well, I just wanted to bring it up, so if anybody wants to bring it up at a future meeting, you can. I did promise that I would tell you of his request. Okay, any public comments on items not on the agenda?
I have a few questions.
Yes, ma'am. State your name and address for the record.
Brandy White, 2926 Chalmers Street.
Okay.
I recently attended the ordinance review committee meeting, and one of the questions that I had after leaving there was, why didn't the new trash ordinance go before the very committee it was designed to do such a thing? I emailed and confirmed that it was never brought before the committee, and I'm just curious as to
The
why.
committee was adopted for the commission to direct things that we wanted them to study to that committee. They don't automatically look at everything. Whatever the commission decides to direct to them to have a review.
So then my question is, who decided that the committee shouldn't review the ordinance?
Nobody decided. The committee was formed with the intention, unless somebody wants to correct me, the intention of us submitting stuff that we would like them to review. Nobody brought it up to have a review, so we didn't review.
Okay, I have another one. Since the fines have started, do we have a breakdown that's been approved yet on what the fines are?
As commissioners, we don't, did you send an email to staff about that? All requests for public records are through
No, I'm
the
just
city
asking,
clerk.
has anybody set the scale yet? Has it been approved? Do we know, us residents, do we know what we're gonna be fined if, let's say, we accidentally leave out a bag of trash or?
Mr. Baker, do you want
The fines are set by ordinance. It's like anything else. $50, if we write you a ticket, it's $50 for the first violation. If you go before the special magistrate, he can fine you up to $250 a day.
So it's a $50 fee if they break your ordinance?
It's a $50, if we write you a citation, which
Right.
takes you into county court, the first fine is a $50 fine.
to, okay? Yeah, is that it?
And then we also have the abatement.
That's not a fine.
No,
She
but
asked
that's
about
not.
fines.
Anyone
Can you
else?
explain the difference between the two? Abatement and fine?
Wait a minute. It's up to you, Dale.
No, it's up to you, Mayor. It's,
All right. If you will, short, sweet, to the point.
a fine is where we take you before a county judge with a special magistrate and fines you. An abatement is a fee for a service. If we come out and do an abatement, we cut your grass, we do whatever, we pay the contractor a cost for doing that service. And then there's an administrative fee to pay other services, like filing the lien with the county clerk and that kind of things. But they're paying for a service, not a fine. That's the difference.
Thank you.
All right. Is that it? Anybody else? Okay, moving along. Ms. Shane,
Yes.
item 4A.
Okay, Mayor, if I may follow this process, if you don't mind, we're here to talk about the special revenue, enterprise, and capital projects funds. What I plan on doing is providing a high-level overview. I also have staff here from the impacted departments that if you have particular questions, they're here to answer them, but I will just give an overview. Is that all right?
Fine with me.
Okay, so, Deltona Water. We're proceeding in regards to updating our billing software so we can provide better customer service, more options in regards to bill payment. We're working towards Monroe in regards to our reclaimed water project. Staff has done an amazing job. We are also looking for outside funding with the St. John's Water Management District and as well as with the Florida DEP. We will be providing reclaimed water to Dewey Foster as well as Coventry and Live Oak. We've been working with the county in regards to an interconnect system for the Deltona North area. For those who do not know, that's really the Holland Boulevard, kind of like near the I-4 area. Okay, in regards to, we have access to water from a regional perspective, which is why we're talking about a interconnect system with the county. Of course, we need to develop a 5-year capital improvement program for alternative water supply. And we will be scheduling a workshop in October to talk about alternative water sources and what that may impact our current water rates and the potential for additional borrowing. Of course, we have our utility expansion projects, which are noted in the binder. We are also talking about adding additional staff to support Deltona Water, which would be a deputy utility director and 2 East Water operators and a utility maintenance tech. Of course, we approved the CRA, the community development area, and we'll be looking at a sewer line along the Saxon Boulevard area as funding becomes available. For stormwater, we're going.
Should we ask questions now, or questions, or you feel like that?
It's up to you. I do have also a couple of highlights that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention that's in the binder. So actually, could you wait?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me kind of go over everything. Okay. With stormwater, we're going to continue with the design of the Montebello and Monterey projects. We also have in-house capital improvement projects that are noted. We plan on purchasing a new dump truck for stormwater. We will continue with the Brickell Drive drainage project. 60% of that is funded from the Florida DEP. There'll be additional staffing that's being proposed for public works technician and an MS4 inspector. And of course, we'll continue with our FEMA modeling. For solid waste, the proposal is to reclassify the solid waste coordinator position to a solid waste enforcement officer, which is actually a downgraded position. Solid waste budget also includes the special county assessment that was recently approved for $48,000 in regards to the collection of those fees for the city. It basically is a status quo budget. There is a line item in the event that we want to consider a third-party contract. That's not definitive, but it is there. For transportation, of course, we are working diligently with completing phase 1 of the transportation CIP. You've seen a great deal amount of milling and resurfacing of streets as well as sidewalk installations. What we need to talk about, since we were able to refinance our bonds, is what are we going to do with the remaining $11 million? Because we were able to refinance and gain $18 million. We talked about phase 1, and now we need to talk about phase 2. And what I propose is that we have a workshop to talk about what projects that we want to move forward. Okay. We are looking at also Catalina and Holland in regards to intersection improvements, and I actually had some good news. Our efforts at the TPO, as you recall, we submitted as our projects Catalina and Holland for the intersection improvements, sidewalk work, and we also submitted work for Tivoli in regards to intersection improvements. We got word from the TPO that they'd like to advance the sidewalks in Catalina and Holland. So our efforts have turned out that we're actually going to probably be receiving some money from the TPO to help us with these projects. It looks like with the sidewalks, it's about $150,000, and we need to put down about 10%. In regards to Catalina and Holland Boulevard, I think it's about $475, and we need to put down about a third.
Right, 33%.
So very good, all right?
And that's gonna be our contract?
It will, when you say our contract,
We're
We'll
gonna
do it,
hire
we'll
the
do it.
contractor, we're gonna do the work, not the
Yes.
county.
right, but we
Correct.
need to follow the procedures and by the TPO.
Okay.
All right, with grant funds, we will continue to coordinate with the Council on Aging on our community center. All right, of course, we need to implement our SHIP Community Development Block Grant, NSB dollars with an emphasis on the CRA. Support for AHAC in promoting social services for the Deltona community. We have our miscellaneous special revenue funds, which are the environmental, street lighting, district tree replacement, and special lake assessment. You'll notice that we did create a special fund for Lake McGarity, which was approved by this commission. Other funds are as noted. The Economic Development Fund, I don't think there's much change to it. In regards to the Grants Match Fund, as directed by the commission, $100,000 for Thornby. And we did talk about with whatever surplus from this year's budget that we add another $500,000 to grant matches. And if I can ask you to flip to your binder, I just want to point out a few highlights for you. If you go to page 3, which is in tab 1, page 3 of 134, you have on your notes, which is the highlight, as I mentioned earlier, is that we need to have a workshop regarding our water projects, and it's anticipated that we will probably need to issue debt, so the water increase will probably go beyond the current 4.5%, but to be determined and based on whatever projects we move forward. And I wanted to bring that to your attention, which is why, if you look on the next page, page 4, 134, we did not really have a 5-year projection. I only had a 1 year because that would be subject to the workshop that we have in October. And then next, if you will...
You did say exceed 4.5%, right?
Yes.
Not 4%.
4.5. It's 4.5 for water and 5.5 for sewer.
You don't know how much?
No, and that will depend on the workshop and what projects we move forward. But we do anticipate that we're going to probably have to borrow funding. The reason for that is that staff has been very good in getting matching funds. And if we wait, we run the risk that we'll probably incur 100% of the cost to make these improvements. And if funding is available and we only need to provide a partial match, it's better for us to accelerate those projects and have the benefit of other matching funds.
All right.
Okay, then if I may ask you to flip towards tab 3, page 67 of 134. There's a note on the 16-17 goals, the last bullet item. As I said, we did include some amount of funding if we wanted to go with a third-party contract for solid waste. If you look at page 68, 134, the proposed budget for 16-17, of course, our recommendation is we maintain the current solid waste fee. When we look at 17-18, there is a potential deficit. However, if we were to eliminate the third-party contract, and if we were also looking at other savings, there could be a possibility that there would not be required an increase for fiscal year 17-18. All right. Initially, when we entered into the solid waste contract, the fee was estimated for 3 years, but we've been able to stretch it to 5 years without an increase, and we're hoping that possibly we might even be able to stretch it out to 6 years. Okay. Then on page 93 of 134 on tab 5, okay, when we talk about fiscal year 16-17 objectives, as I mentioned that staff is working diligent in regards to milling and resurfacing roadways throughout the city. We've got about $900,000 identified within the proposed fiscal year. We're talking about Normandy, rebuilding Normandy from Farrington to Quincy, which was what was discussed and approved at the workshop. Again, we want to talk about having a master transportation plan so that could help us to guide what needs to be done regarding phase 2. Okay.
Rebuilding it?
I'm
just-
sorry, what? For Normandy?
Or Normandy,
Yes, we are rebuilding, for that section only.
yeah.
Between Farrington and Quincy
Yeah,
only.
I know where it's at, okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then, of course, we talked about Catalina and Holland Boulevard in regards to the intersection improvements, Tivoli, from Saxon to Providence, and continuation of our sidewalk work. Okay. Then, I wanted to point to, page 107 of 134, which is part of tab 6, where you talk about community development block grant dollars, and we do have a lot of emphasis in stormwater and infrastructure work in regards to the projects that are listed that relate to our CRA. Okay, and then for page 121 of 134 on tab 8 regarding impact fees. Want to just talk about the parks. We talked about making some other improvements towards Dwight Hawkins, the Veterans Museum for $100,000 for their storage facility.
121.
All right, go ahead.
All right, constructing a fence at Marion Rodriguez and installing a well at Dwight Hawkins. And lastly, I also wanted to point out on page 133 or 134 as part of tab 10 in regards to the grant match fund, as I mentioned earlier, you'll see that from additional general fund of any surplus, we have talked about $500,000 to be added to the grants match, and then you'll also see Thornby Park here for $100,000. Okay, and with that,
So we'll carry $1 million over that's not, that's for grant matches.
that's the
Potential.
proposal,
Okay.
which was
Commissioner
directed by the commission
Yeah.
previously. And Commissioner
You want
Sibley?
to go first?
Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, so.
Fire away.
Okay, going back to page 3. The very last one says revised CIP due to additional mandated requirements. Do we know what those additional mandated requirements are, or are we going to be told that with the workshops on that?
It will be, we do have some ideas that have to do with our cup and with reclaimed water and alternative water, and also identifying our needs for the future. So, but a lot of it will probably be dependent on which direction we go in regards to alternative water sources, as well as what funding could be available, or what we perceive as additional funding.
And are these being mandated by St. John's River Water Management or state? Who are they being mandated by?
It's a combination of St. John's and FDEP, so most of it was already in effect in our CUP right now, and then the alternative water coordination meetings we've had, and then we'll summarize all that again. So it's not new mandates, it's stuff that's already been presented.
Okay, I want to make sure about that.
But it's all encompassing, it's just expensive for what's been passed over the last few years.
Typical mandated stuff. Then on page 9, I guess I just had a question with the wastewater master plan updates and the wastewater plan updates. I assume those are 2 different updates, each of $200,000. Do they both have to be done this year? Can we do one year and one the following year? Or why are there 2 plans, each one $200,000?
Yeah, there's a synergy to do them at the same time, because you can do the same projections and use it in both plans. They were last done in 05, 06 range, so they're over 10 years old. And usually a 10-year master plan is what you try and do, and sometimes you do it more frequently, every 5 years, so they're due to be completed. And we're going to try and get extra alternative water analysis and other analysis that's added to get more value out of those plans than what you do in a normal update that might be less expensive.
Because again, I was looking and thinking maybe it'd be easier to do one this year, than if they had that one done, could they use the figures now to do the second one, do they follow the second year?
Well, you really need to
Figures
do
will be
it
out.
Do
simultaneously
simultaneously? Okay.
because it's going to be a little different master planning program because we're going to focus too upon, where we see development potentially occurring in the commercial nodes and that kind of thing. So you got to have both the sewer plan and the water.
And the notes I had, though, are you planning on doing the entire city or just these economic development areas? I mean, why do we need to do areas that are done?
It's the entire city. The previous plans that were done 10 years ago
Right.
had included areas like Leffler and some other areas that are not developable anymore because of other reasons. So it's pretty common practice to do about every 10 years or less even to update and do a 10 to 20 year planning horizon.
Just real clarification on it. Both are being done this year. Then on page 35. And I guess this again is just kind of a question, because this is under the water, but it says customer service. I assume this budget is customer service budget? Pretty much.
For Deltona Water.
Yeah, customer service falls under Deltona Water.
Okay, the question I have is, why is customer service asking for $15,000 overtime for customer service? Aren't the hours pretty much set, and why are we putting that much in the budget for overtime?
That's
For
not
customer service.
overtime.
Because
Oh,
when
those are professional services.
Yeah, that's not overtime.
It's not overtime. It's other, but it's professional
Oh,
services.
okay, well, that's what I said.
Other got cut off just as OT.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, OT to me was overtime.
Right.
Okay, guys, what are we talking about here? All right, so that
I
is,
see.
yeah, I'm going OT, wait a minute, customer service
401(3)(6)(3),
overtime?
yeah.
I was like, no. So that is, really should have been other, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going, a lot of overtime for customer service.
What else you got?
Last one, oh, no, nothing else, on page 67. And I guess I'm gonna just be the first one to say I totally disagree with the contract, and that was why I have big X's on that one with the Redmond, so just to, I disagree with that.
What page?
Page 67, it's referring to the contract for
Oh,
Redmond,
okay.
and I'm just totally against that, doing that, but that's, probably a whole nother discussion. But I just want to make sure that y'all know I'm going on record on that. Then the next is,
This is talking about next year, right?
Well,
In here you're talking about next year.
yes, 16, 17.
Okay,
and I'm just,
okay.
yeah, I'm just not for that program at all. The next one at page 107,
I thought you said that was your last.
no, this is the last one coming, but it kind of goes to 107 and 121 together, so you might want to put a finger on both and have them both kind of ready.
107 and 121?
And 121. That's what I was just going to talk about that. All right, on page 107, am I missing something when it says new sports stadium, 2 million?
That's, oh, yeah, I noticed that too. That was, it says potential future projects. And we do not know currently where we stand on that because that's part of the work that Tetra Tech is supposed to be providing to us.
But why are we putting money into it if
It's
something we
not in the
haven't?
budget.
It's not in the budget. It was just kind of
It's
like,
potential future unfunded project.
Capital.
Okay, well, I just
Sort of
want to
a-
make sure that,
sort of-
I saw this, I'm going, wait a minute, did I miss a meeting somewhere that we talked about we're doing this all of a sudden?
It's
It's
like a
like-
tickler.
Sukup did
Everything
that
else.
after hours.
I got it in
Got it in my charge.
And I'm going, wait, I mean, I
No.
know I've been here all the time, I thought, I didn't remember us talking about that one.
no, and that's, those are not
Okay, so
funded.
it's, all right. And the same thing with the museum addition,
That's off the table right now. We're
That's-
doing the storage facility.
because that's why I
Yeah.
said, why is it, that, again, it was on
And
this one, but then later on, we have it on the other
It
one,
says
121.
potential.
And that's what I wanted to make sure that we knew.
Potential stuff, none of this is,
So they really
Okay.
really shouldn't be in there at
it's
all.
good
Well,
ways.
it's potential.
Was it
It
a
shows
tickler?
what-
It's a tickler
Something we
because
could do.
we had discussed it earlier, so it's just kind of like a tickler.
Okay.
Commissioner, your actual capital budget is $80,000
Okay.
in the current year, in the year coming up. That's on page 106.
Is that all you got?
Yeah, that was it.
No, you're right, there's not $2 million in there.
Well, like I said, and that's a clarification, because when I see something like that, I'm going,
All right, Mr. Sukup.
Yeah, I'll start with the water. The first question is, did anybody see that?
Page.
Well, I don't need a page right now, let's just start with water in general. Did anybody see that article in the paper talking about, I forget how many gallons of water if I used it and how much it would cost in DeLand, the county, Deltona? Did anyone see that article?
Which paper was it in?
When?
News Journal.
When?
It was all over Facebook too, the last couple days. Moral of the story is Deltona's water price is higher than basically everybody around us. I'm gonna go back and touch on the 25% surcharge that we charge out of the city people. And just like I said, because I've been arguing this, I got a friend that lives, and I see his bills and know what they pay. And I don't know where those numbers, you know what article I'm talking about? Did you see the article? Okay. Well, put it this way, it looked bad for Deltona. It came to Deltona Water because we were highest rates for whatever they selected. So my question is, now you're showing that we're going to increase it again, 4.5%.
Well, we already have
That's
built
been
in a
built in.
4.5% escalation.
Right.
Yeah.
So which makes us even going to be even higher. So yeah.
Well, one thing I'd point out, you had a very good key phrase there with what they selected. We do have an inclining block rate, and our top end is pretty high, and that is meant to be that way on purpose, to mitigate use and lower use. And when this inclining block was set up, it was before I was here, but I'm familiar with it, that the lower rate was protected to keep the 5,000 gallon type bill, because that's a lot more common bill in Deltona than it is in other cities, where they may have more common bills that are 10, 12, 15.
Right.
So we specifically protected the lower end users to hold those charges low.
And St. John's, when we were going for our cup,
Yeah.
they pushed that really
They
heavily.
mandated we
They
go to
weren't
inclining
gonna give us a
So
cup.
I would just say to take that a little bit with a grain of salt, and it is very important to compare different levels of bills. And we may be higher at 20,000 or 15,000, but we are probably lower on the lower end.
But, and that's why, I mean, I brought it up in our meetings when we all met together about expanding our bottom tier.
Yeah.
I never heard anything back. You were supposed to do an analysis on it to see what it would cost. I never heard anything
I
back from
don't
it.
recall that.
Yeah.
We do an analysis of the rates every year and present it to the commission, just like we did this past fall. And you'll
I think
see
the
that.
intention is to have some of that discussion at the workshop in October.
Okay.
But basically, it's just a philosophical decision by the commission of, do we want to increase the lower end users to generate more money, because we do have a bigger base on the lower end, but then you're hitting the people that have the least ability to pay. So that, we've got 33,000 customers. If you imagine half of them are on the lower end bill.
Well, how many gallons till our thing goes to the next price, the next, how many thousand gallons?
I believe it's 10,000. I gotta get the sheet. It's a
Right, that was the-
5,000,
that was the
10,000, 15.
Right, that was the
basically
question, is
5,000
expanding that to
The
see
five
if it made sense.
Right, to maybe go to 6,000 or 7,500 as the first
Yeah,
lower
that's-
tier.
But I think what you're looking for is a good idea, but a study would have to be done.
Well, they said, that's what we were gonna look into, I didn't know.
No,
how
I'm
long.
talking about a full-fledged study, because you're talking about changing rates, and if you move one up, the minimum at 5, say you make it 10, it affects everything else, and it affects.
And you may choose to
affects
change the
strongly,
base
too.
charge rather than the per gallon use and stuff like that. So when we have our workshop in October, we'll be able to kind of talk about the big picture demands and where we're gonna go. And then every year we do a rate analysis, and this year we do plan on doing a full rate analysis because of these additional projects and big numbers.
Next, back down to solid waste, I was gonna touch on the same thing with the Redmond. We're gonna reclassify our solid waste coordinator position to the solid waste enforcement officer. So moral story is, we already have a guy doing that job, right? So why do we need Redmond? Is it something we don't believe in Dale or his staff, that they can't do their job, or is it
No,
we just wanna pay and didn't that price go up from what we originally were told?
no.
No, it's
No.
partial year, you're looking at the 24,000, there are
Yeah.
two different things. You were looking at a partial year contract originally, she
Right.
It's like 75.
that's a full year.
It's the same monthly rate.
Okay,
It
yeah,
depends
I-
on whether you do it for
I
24.
don't agree with the Redmond. If we have our staff, if we don't trust our staff, then maybe look at getting new staff. I mean, we gotta do our own, yeah.
Well, if I may, I mean, it's not a matter of trust, it's a matter of manpower. So Redmond was gonna throw 4 people out there doing nothing but following the trucks around. I don't have the staff just to follow the trucks around. So that's the difference.
So you think the Redmond contract would be worthwhile?
I'm not saying that, I'm saying the difference is they're gonna throw 4 people out there doing nothing but following the trucks around. I don't have the staff to do that.
Not on a daily basis, though. I mean,
Right.
let's make that clear.
Yeah.
They're gonna manage the contract, enforce the contract, so.
Yeah, I still can't agree with
No,
that.
okay.
All right,
Um,
but
next-
it's not a spit, it's in there if we decide to do it.
Next, I'm down to the CRA. Now, I talked to a couple of the county commissioners on the
Oh,
CRA.
you're dealing with this page here?
I'm down to Grant
Oh,
Farm.
you're just-
I'm just going
Oh,
down.
you're
Just going
going
down
up
this
this
page.
other-
It's not
okay.
the book, okay?
Okay.
On the CRA, I talked to a couple of the county councilmen. And so they all have issues with other cities and the way they spent their money. Have we sat down with them to make sure that we're doing it in a way that they are
Yes.
comfortable with where we're spending the money?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's how we got into
Never-
it.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, it's in the plan, but I want to know if they
They
are.
Way
approved
they
it.
approved
They
it.
wouldn't
They
approve
approved
it
it,
if we
and
did.
actually, they were very complimentary of
Yeah.
our staff that we
Guys, we did it the right way.
did it the right way.
Okay.
Because it's
They would
basically
have never
capital,
approved it if we
otherwise,
hadn't done it.
yeah.
Okay.
And the county chair did vote for it because he said he'd never vote for one, no matter who it was, whatever, he wouldn't vote for any,
Right.
at any time. I mean, that's the one that voted against it.
Okay. That's it.
But there was no negative comments
No,
about
it's
the
very
plan
hot.
we put together. They liked it.
It
Well, I'm
was
just saying
very
that I know
positive.
It
moving
eliminated
forward.
all those
Yeah.
problems that you had heard about, because they were hiring
Beautification.
maintenance people, and they were buying posies, they were doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Not for
Wasn't,
infrastructure.
wasn't what it was intended to do. All right, Heidi, did you have a question?
I just have a couple of comments. I mean,
Go ahead.
the water master plans logically have to be done together. If you don't, I don't understand why there would even be a question about that, because right now, water is our biggest issue. We have no choice but to go forward with the stormwater plans that we're doing now, and if you don't have a master plan to go by, when you're looking for funding and you're looking for expanding the sewer system through the CRA in the commercial area, and you're looking at the development that we have going on, you have to know where you have what. And you have to update that. I mean, that's to me is basic. I mean, that's one thing that you have to look at is your infrastructure. We talk about economic development all the time. And if you don't put your money into your infrastructure, then you're gonna have to pull it from other projects or other wish lists. And I'd rather see the money go into the master plan than go into Redmond. I mean, I'm not against Redmond, I'm not for Redmond. I think that's for staff to really look at. And I don't think we're at that point right now that we need to make that decision. I think that we have a little bit of work to do yet on the solid waste issue, but, I mean, just to me, that's a no-brainer. Fire impact fees, what do we use those for, please, on page 121? It doesn't say anything.
Capital.
And we are just saving that money, we don't have, or there are no capital-related projects, so we just are accumulating fire impact fees. Does anyone know how much they are?
The key mention is growth-related projects. Impact fees can only be used on projects that are caused by growth in population.
So if we do stuff down on 415, we can use it down in that area.
I'm not sure. I'm just saying it's growth-related. It's the
You
only
can't
thing.
replace a fire truck with it, but if you add a fire truck to the fleet, it can be used for that.
And how much is in that fund, does anyone know?
It's, we project about 71,000 at the end of this fiscal year, and then about 87,000, so it doesn't really grow by that much.
No, it's not enough for a truck. Okay, and the park impact.
Tires,
Yeah, tires.
set of tires. That's about it.
And the park impact fees, that's a designated impact fee. And these are what we're for sure gonna do with this?
That's what's being proposed. That when I mentioned those projects, the 4 projects for $315,000.
What's our impact fee? Will that pretty much take care of all the money that we've got in the,
It will leave a balance of about 55,000,
okay,
which is on page 122.
okay, thank you.
Is that it, man?
For now, yeah.
Chris?
A couple of things, going back to the master planning stuff that Heidi was talking about. Is Del North incorporated into any of that?
It's typically done as like a bulk type user. We don't study the lots in there, but we would study the impact of if we took it over or didn't take it over, like that.
Does the county do the same type of a study?
They would probably do a detailed study where they would look at every single lot and what's developable and not to get a bigger picture of the demand. We'll probably, as part of what Gerald mentioned with the commercial nodes, we might do a little more analysis than we
Well,
typically would in that area.
is there an advantage to doing a joint effort on that to take care of that Del North area and get the county to contribute some money to that study and knock it all out at one time?
We could approach them on it, I don't know how successful
Yeah,
that
we
would
can
be.
talk to them, but I wouldn't hold out a lot
It
of
would be
hope.
budget free.
See, what we'll do is, as part of the master planning, that includes updating the computer model for the water distribution system, taking into account the improvements that have been made over the last 10 years or more. And then, as Matt said, we'll look, bulk look, so to speak, at Del North on what the build out of that may mean as far as water demands, and then put that into the modeling also to where, like, we have the 12-inch interconnect at Furwood, and then we have the smaller interconnect over here off Howland. We'll look at, should either one or both of those interconnects be upsized for sometime in the next 10 to 15 years
We're
to handle it.
metering that both ways, right? In other words,
Correct.
It's only a one-way.
It's a one-way to the county.
it's
Yeah.
all
It's
else.
only a gift to.
Because
Oh,
see,
there's no-
we're
okay.
going to have to anticipate, the city is that, depending upon how fast and what happens in the Del North area and the activity center, you have to remember the county cannot drill any more wells there. So either they're in a situation that they're at some point in time going to have to buy bulk water from the city of Deltona, and those interconnects will be open all the time, or a combination of a Deltona interconnect open, say the 12-inch, and the DeLand interconnect open, which comes under I-4. But I believe that's only like an 8-inch interconnect. So depending upon how fast that area grows, they're gonna reach a limit with their existing plant. And
And
then
we're
they're
building
gonna
them
have
at
to
the
look
commercial
at
rate, right?
others to serve.
Yeah. The good news is we have our plant right at the interconnect, and so if they need capacity, we have it today. It's in place.
Okay.
So we kind of know the answer, and maybe not the speed of it necessarily, but we have the capacity.
Okay. The $150,000 automated interconnect, is that for both interconnects or just the Furwood Normandy?
Just the Furwood number.
Okay. And that's gonna be on the SCADA system? Okay. Did I read this right? Was there a $100,000 upgrade to the phone system for water?
Yes.
What's that entail?
That's driven by IT. They gave us that number. We need to get a software upgrade.
Software upgrades, equipment upgrades with the hardware. We're gonna have to make some modifications based upon, I guess you'd say, the technology moving forward and what our customer base expects from us now. Like, for one thing that was brought to our attention recently is, and we've been talking to IT about it on a preliminary basis, is how when you call into somebody and you put on hold, it will tell you, well, you're gonna have to be holding for maybe 2 minutes or maybe 30 minutes. Now with the Legionnaire, I was on hold for 50 minutes before I could talk. But we don't have that capability now, so
So this is a customer service type of upgrade?
exactly, it's customer service
Okay.
upgrades.
How long you're gonna be in the queue before a live?
Exactly,
Right.
because otherwise they don't
I
know.
know.
Right, and then they can decide whether or not they want to wait, call back, or like
Right.
unusual high call volume.
And it's gonna allow us also to leave, they can leave a message, we call them back when we
Right.
can, if they don't wanna wait.
Yeah, we do that now if they leave a message. We try to call them back the same day, but some of them it may be the next morning. That they get a call back.
Okay. I don't support the Redmond contract. I would rather put that money into somebody else in code working with Lonnie and solid waste, if that manpower would help the situation there, but I don't want to go to that outside contractor for that. Is there going to be any meeting on the Catalina Howland intersection improvements with the county as we move that forward at staff level?
Oh, yeah, that's all being
Yeah.
coordinated.
We're at 60% engineering plans and specs now on the improvements, and the consultant is trying to bring us along a little further. And then we're gonna have meetings with the county traffic staff, John Cheney and company, because we're going to have to get a right-of-way use permit from them, and they're gonna have to approve our plans as part of it, because some of the signalization will have to be changed. And then we'll be adding, turn lane. So, yeah, there will be coordination.
Is
with
that all got to be further approved by TPO, or TPO's just agreed to throw a certain amount of money into the project?
I just hung up with them before I came upstairs, and so we're gonna forward Gerald's 60% plans over to Gene Ferguson at DOT, and he's gotta approve the design for that, before, can go any further. They're gonna go ahead and fund the 66% for the construction of both the signal improvements and the turn lane,
What
but
about
that's
the right of
managing
way?
the 33%.
Is that the entire project or just those portions? Because what about right of way and stuff like that if we have to buy right of way?
No right-of-way.
It's already right away.
None will be needed?
No.
Right.
It's all within the existing.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I thought we
Great.
talked about
Well,
that before, yeah. Yeah.
Our goal is to have it
Okay.
final engineering and the county approval and TPO and all by October 1st, where we could hopefully bid this out before the holidays.
Okay.
They wanna put it on this TPO funding year cycle for this year.
Is that that extra money?
Yeah, that's,
It is.
I got a phone call. And it was a good phone call.
Okay, that's all I
And
got.
Can I jump in while
I'm
we're
done.
on this? Okay, well, yeah, the Tivoli project now.
That's
the
proceeding.
that's the one I'm really concerned with because
Just intersection.
that intersection improvements, to what extent are you all thinking? I mean, what we think and what the public thinks, and what are you guys thinking?
What we're
Because
looking
there
at
needs to
is
be
the
a turn lane
intersection
there.
improvements at both intersections, north and south, and doing some additional turn lanes. Again, it'll involve signalization changes. And then, of course, in both intersections, we're gonna have to work with the county. The consultant's supposed to have 60% plans in about 45 days. And then we're going to schedule a meeting with the county, sit down with them. We'll have to, again, the same process.
Can we look at that, especially the Tivoli one? I don't think we're even about to blow back on Kelly, but the Tivoli one, can we see them before you meet with the county in case there's,
Sure,
because that intersection, especially the one on Providence there,
Right.
I'm worried about how much right of ways are gonna be there, because we're impacting both the 7-Eleven and the Cumberland.
Right
That's
now,
Major
what we're planning will fit within the existing right-of-ways.
Okay.
We may have to relocate like a water main or something,
But that main
You think
corner
we have
there,
enough
if you're going east on Tivoli to Providence, that corner on the left there, it's already a mess. It's
Yeah.
already, it's almost impossible to make a turn there. Any large truck or anything, that's a real bottleneck, so that's gonna have to be widened.
correct.
Okay.
We're actually gonna have a workshap on this because.
Yeah, I
we'll-
think, yeah, before we sit down with the county, because sometimes the county,
I have one more question for Mr. Goldie.
Go ahead.
The master transportation plan,
Yes, sir.
that's helps score us higher at the TPO on projects when we have that in place, right?
Yes, sir, it does. When you have science behind your decision, they can point to it, so it's a lot easier.
Okay. Well, I want to bring it out,
Good.
I mean, it's an expense, and I want
Yeah.
to help justify why we're planning to have that expense, that there's a bigger picture.
Right,
Okay.
and it's also proper planning.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
I have a comment, but it's different than this. So, yeah.
Comment about something other than the budget. Is there any other questions, sir? Anybody else have questions? The public, anybody? Okay, yes,
I
ma'am.
have some questions. You need me to state my name again?
Yeah, for the record.
Brandy White, 2926 Chalmers Street. Getting my hands on the full budget was kind of hard to do, but I did actually get the 2016-17 budget highlights. And I have a few questions and things that I didn't hear go over. What is a pocket park?
Neighborhood park.
Just an
It's
additional
not-
like park. I'm new to all this wording on here, so I just want clarification.
What do you?
That's on the general
what are
budget.
you-
That's on
the
Thursday.
general-
That's on the general
What are
budget,
you
not
referring
the
to?
enterprise budget. That's a different
The
budget.
highlights, the budget highlights, that's the page.
I didn't see-
It's not on this.
I didn't
So
see
this,
pocket park
so this
even on
meeting's
there.
only for a specific part of the budget?
Yes,
It's
the
not the
enterprise.
budget in general?
Right, right.
This is special revenue,
Special revenue,
enterprise and capital
enterprise.
projects, that's what we're on tonight. Do you have this, the 16, 17, is that what you're reading? Because there's no pocket park on here.
No,
That's the general.
I believe Ms. White has the one
General.
scheduled for
Thursday.
Thursday.
That's
Thursday night.
Thursday.
For Thursday.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pull in anything other than this, so I didn't have anything to review. Is there a reason it's not accessible?
This
That's-
was,
Online, this
that's
is
I,
our
I
online.
clicked it, it didn't do anything.
we're,
I couldn't pull
We're
it
working
anywhere.
from a budget binder book.
Wasn't it online? I thought it was.
yeah, it's online.
It's online.
Because that's how I looked at it over the weekend, it was online. So I know it was online because I looked at it over the weekend because I didn't have a
Can you
book.
email me the link? Because I was unable to
Bob,
find
can
it.
you, Bob, could you make
I just went
sure
on the agenda.
that it goes to,
I clicked it and it was.
Randy, would you
Not for the
ask
full budget.
Mr. Klinger,
Yes,
to
we
give
can
him
do
your
it.
email or whatever?
yeah, and.
All right, anyone else have questions? Okay. I got, you're gonna bring up something that,
Well, yeah, mine just, in
this
lieu-
is for anyone here, you know, month of August is, support our deputies month, so if you want these, or if you want several for your friends and that, staff members, public, anybody, pass it down.
Or just put them on the table by Dale.
Yeah, put them on the tables, take you on your way out. Try to encourage whoever to wear them. Okay, go ahead, sir.
mine was just on the way here, I got off at the first Deltona exit.
You want gas money or something?
No, and the median coming in there is disgusting, first of
Are
all.
you?
On the exit ramp coming east from Orlando, getting off right there at Doyle. The off ramp is disgusting. And then I drove down, now, you know, they're building a brand new racetrack there. So you're like, okay, great, but the power lines, the weeds in the power lines have not been mowed in probably 10 years. I mean, they're taller than I am. It runs right off of I-4, all the way down past Walmart, past the racetrack. Why are they not required to mow that and maintain that area?
I think that's all the county, isn't it?
Well, part of
It's
it
gonna
is.
take.
But it's gonna be redone,
We
I gotta
can't
redo
answer,
it
yeah,
now.
we
too.
can't answer that unless we find out two things. Some of those right-of-ways are just right-of-ways that they built on, some they actually own. We had that same problem up here on Elkham where, and you see they're up there maintaining it and making some fixtures on that. Some of that property they actually own, some of it they're just using the right-of-way.
But we're talking about Deltona Boulevard,
All we
which
have
is
to do
CRA,
is-
which is everything else,
we can-
and that, it is, I mean, literally, it's 8 foot tall.
We can call them and tell them that they need maintenance on it. It looks terrible.
Well, you know, we've had a conversation with FDOT, and they keep telling us that their budget is very limited. They say they, at the most, they do it 4 times a year. We've talked about, when we call and we complain, they should try to make an extra effort to go down and maintain and mow and whatever.
They haven't been mowed in years.
No, well, they have actually done on 108, and they did certainly,
How long did it take us to get them to do the weeds on Saxon? It took
Well, the same thing, why don't we just send our guys out there on the off ramp and just spray the weeds?
well, I think that's a
We
question
don't
regarding.
have permission to do that from
You can't do
FDOT.
that.
It's not on
Once
our
you do it, you
property.
bought it.
All right.
But
And
we can't
so-
force them.
No, because I have called and,
I can find a resident in my city, but I can't find someone who that is the
We
gateway
probably
to the
only
city.
want to, doesn't mean they're gonna do it.
We've
There's
talked about-
something that might help. Some discussion today about Southwest Volusia Summit, September. That's probably a good place to bring it up because there are county reps there, there's other reps, so we can ask. That could be an issue about
It's a good idea.
beautification and all of it. County tried to work, we had a contract years ago, and I'm sure you're not aware of it, you kind of remember. We had a contract for the interstate, all 3 interstates, with Orange City, DeBerry, and us, and we paid a large chunk of change every year. It got to be where they would not maintain it the way we wanted, so the city commission, it was right after I came back in office, yes. We pulled out of the contract altogether, and it looks as good or better than it did when we were paying $300,000 or $400,000 a year to do it. And so I'm sure that any discussion about maintaining those things, pressure on FDOT and the county are about the only thing you're gonna get it done.
Okay, but will someone give me an update on the power lines, because that is bad. It
I
is
can give you
bad.
that update right now.
Oh, you got it?
No, I want to tell you, Brandy, it's on, if you click the attachment under A, for the budget workshop, I just pulled it all up.
That's another question.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I just want to tell her I told that, I just pulled it up for you.
Okay.
It's, you
On the
can get
city
it.
website,
Right.
or
Anyway, what I was gonna say about the power line easements, first of all, McDonald's owns a portion of that back there. There's a certain portion behind Waffle House and McDonald's that is owned by McDonald's. There's dumping that goes on there. We just had a bunch of, concrete dumped back there. And the power line easements probably haven't been mowed. It's probably been about 2 to 3 years. And the power company, they usually go in there and they mow it. But there's a portion of that land, because I've looked it up on the property appraisers, because why? It all connects back to the circle of my life.
Cats.
But let me
She
tell
doesn't
you,
want them to cut it because.
We gotta cut it.
no, but I'm saying,
Flying.
no, the problem is, the cat volunteer is the one who found all the dumping that was going on back there, where they had just backed up and dumped that, and the other, and this to see if McDonald's had cameras, but they do own part of that. And the thing is, when you look in Ormond Beach, State Road 40 is a state road, and the city of Ormond Beach does the contract work on that. They do the landscaping work. So it just depends on what you arrange and what kind of agreement you want to do and how much the city wants to do. And if we want to be in charge of our own destiny, we need to start having the conversation and taking over and doing some of the stuff, at least spraying the weeds. And because I agree with you, it's terrible down there when you get off. It's really bad.
And that actually is the conversation.
There's a project underway though right now to redo.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, there's a whole redevelopment down there with those
So that may be
ramps.
something that we can bring.
How
Can
long
you
is
bring
it
it
gonna
up?
take?
But that's not the area that Brian's
Well, I know,
talking
I mean,
about.
it's gonna impact all of
3
that.
years.
But
Well-
Brian, if the vice mayor would like to bring it up at TTO, that is a very good place to bring it up, because FDOT people are sitting right there.
They handle-
Usually represented in the audience.
Gene's at the meeting.
Saxon, is it TPO Saxon, or is that 472?
Well, they handle all
They
three.
handle
That's
all transportation planning.
Three.
That's a good place to
The
make,
DOT does.
for him to make a statement. I've done.
But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about by the Deltona Inn there, the
Yeah.
utility
Yeah.
easement
Yeah.
on that side, going over to where the new,
Racetrack
the new
is
Doyle
all the
Road
Yes.
way up.
Oh, yeah.
on the curve.
It's like they're not mowing it, it's like, it just,
How much of that do we own? We've got a lift station or something back there on the
We don't
Welcome
own.
Center.
You own that.
A very small lift station site there. You know,
But
that,
don't we
right
have
across McDonald's.
any easement, or does that just come right off the Deltona Boulevard?
What you have to
Doesn't go over?
understand too is, the power company, you know, as the mayor said earlier, they don't own in its entirety these power easements. They, in a lot of cases, instead of buying the property, they bought an easement from the property owner. And all the power company cares about, really, is they don't care how high it gets, because when they come in to repair a transmission line or put a new transmission line up there, they can drive their heavy equipment over everything. So keeping it mowed is not on their,
So
very
then
high on
probably
their
what we need
agenda.
to do, Jane, I would suggest is let's look at that section. You're talking about between.
from I-4 all the way down, yeah.
Let's look at that power line easement there, see if it's private property owners that own it, and see if so, then I don't know if our lot maintenance.
County
is-
probably owns some
they'll
of
say
it, a lot of those
Once,
ponds.
once it goes 3 years without being maintained, it's back to its natural state, and now they don't have to cut it.
Okay.
There might be a better, well, not better, but an alternative way of doing this. And
No easy way.
we haven't done this in, I know, probably 10 years. Why don't we bring their government rep in? We haven't done that in a long time. We could bring Florida Power, Duke Energy, Florida Power and Light. Bring those utility reps in. I mean, that's what they get paid to do. They're a liaison. And just tell them, we're not at all happy.
Let's take pictures,
with the way they're
pictures say,
maintaining. Yeah, and I mean, I don't
Really
mean to
works.
be ugly, we're not gonna beat them up, but we might as well
Show them.
show them
Like it is.
exactly what it is, because it's getting worse and worse. And that's the Gateway Center, the CRA, all that stuff, but they're usually pretty good about that. And they're both, when we have a problem, they usually jump on it, so
Sure do, thank
that's
you.
pretty.
Yeah. So you're good?
Then, What are we doing?
Okay, we're trying to find the binder.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I'll ask it.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, there's one other thing. We had talked about, Randy, excuse me, we have a meeting going on, ma'am. Thank you. Well, if you go out in the hall, we're trying to talk. But if we have,
can I pass this out?
there was some discussion about some procedural things, and Jane put together a list of procedures. Nothing big, but just because of us trying to work with the Granica system, we sat down and tried to come up with some ideas. Nothing to talk about here today. Just take them home with you, look at it. If there's something that gives you a real hard feeling, it's going to take us all time to get used to it. Just rules of the road for future meetings. Try to stay with it. It's just something to look at later. If you got any problems, talk to her about it. It makes it easier to try to run the meeting. We tried to go down there and look at what we could do to make it simpler and also give all of you the opportunity to, be heard rather than trying to put tags up and do all the things we're doing. So one thing led to another, so we ended up putting that together. Okay, there being nothing else, we're adjourned.